I'm kinda guy nice. Got me seeing through you, bruh. Shalom, shalom, Yasharal. My mishpaka, I hope all is well. They act like I'm doing something to them, you know. And I've seen them, not the flesh and blood, not the people that I got in mind right now. I've seen what persuades them, that entity, being, whatever you want to call it, that has their fangs coming out, ready to just murder me. I'm not doing anything to them when they, after a long time of just itching and just being frustrated, not by what I'm saying to them, but what they know I stand for, which it hasn't happened in a while face to face. When they're just itching and they finally muster up enough balls to confront me, and like I said, not because of what I'm saying to them, although you might hear that was the case, but it's usually when I haven't even spoken a word to them in 20-30 minutes. Maybe we're riding along in a vehicle, or we're just in each other's presence, and I haven't mentioned anything about what they're frustrated over, and trust me, I haven't mentioned anything about it because I've already been warned by people like my mother, especially her. And like I said, this hasn't happened in a while because I don't go to their shindigs anymore. For one, I didn't want to go, but now I'm not even really welcome. It's not spoken that I'm not welcome, but it's understood. When I was still attending their shindigs against my own desire, I was always warned, and especially by my mom, to not start anything with them. And I never did. Even before, back when I still thought, when I had hope, back when I didn't realize it was such a problem to him, I didn't bring it up, although I really wanted to. And who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to bring truth, goodness, miracles? Who wouldn't want to share and tell somebody about all that? But I was warned not to. And I wasn't just asked, I was, don't you start anything about all your bullshit when we go to hang out with them for Christmas. Don't bring anything up. I wouldn't. Even, like I said, back when I wasn't warned, back when I realized, before I realized it would be a problem and it would do no good, I still didn't. They always brought it up to me. And not at first, but you could tell that they were wanting to talk to me. And, in the early stages, I didn't realize what they were wanting to talk about. But once they said it, I was like, oh, that's why you were looking at me this whole time like that. And they would start off nice, but eventually, because, they're hard-headed, stubborn, and stiff-necked. To justify their idolatry, their paganism. If you want to call me stubborn, stiff-necked, and hard-headed because I want to praise the Most High, hey, by all means. Hey, I'm not in the slightest offended over that. I actually welcome it. If I were you, I would say the same thing. I'd say, man, he's a hardhead. He just won't bend and come exchange gifts under the Christmas tree with us, because he's hard-headed. Damn right I am. Damn right. And it's nothing, it's purely innocent what we're doing. Well, what's his problem? Damn right I got a problem. But back then, all them times, I never brought it up to them. For one, I saw it was, like I said, it would have done no good. It's still, if you've been here, you know my struggle, and I've come to the realization, the understanding that that's not my place. I'm an employee. I can't, I have no capabilities at getting through to them about this kind of stuff. All I can do is drop my seeds. And what I'm talking about, the instances that I'm talking about, I didn't even go around them with the intentions to drop them, but they begged for it because they just can't stand it. And before it was over with, their fangs were out. My olive branches were handed to them. And I was saying things like, man, it's all good, we don't have to talk about this. But they couldn't stand it. My dad was one of them people. It's either here in 78 or 79, we're going to hear about those types of people. And if you're hearing my voice, chances are you are the resistance. And I mean someone who's resisting the Joneses. I'm not talking about someone who's building a bunker or prepping and making a pantry full of disaster food. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about someone who resists the status quo. And if that's you, chances are, if you're hearing my voice, you are resisting paganry. If you are in that category, but you still find a little bit of innocence, you don't see the harm in having a Christmas tree, or maybe you have crossed that threshold and you will not allow a tree into your living room, but you don't see the problem with going around it, maybe going to your mom's, your sister's, your brother's place, and you're not doing it at your house, but you can go. If that's you might want to listen up. And hear me out, call me arrogant and bold all you want, but there's a switch you have for your ears, like a light switch. And in a dark room, if you flip that switch to the on position, illumination occurs and you can see what's within that room. You have one of those for your ears. And what that means is if it's in the off position, you ain't hearing it. You don't care what I have to say or the Most High has to say. If you are body and you want truth, regardless of what anyone has to say about it, and you understand that it truly does, it indeed set you free, your ears are in the on position. You've got them turned on. You don't care how my voice sounds. You don't care about the quality of the video. You don't care if I might sound a little arrogant. Although I'm not. You just want the truth. Your ears don't need tickling at all. If that's you, and then your ears are turned on, but you still entertain paganry, although you hate it, you find it totally disgusting like I do, and you know well what it's all about, where it came from, what it's the effect it has on society, the world. You know it's something that you just can't stand. But yet, you ain't got no problem with bumping noses with it, just touching it here and there. Make sure your ear switch is completely turned on. This message just might be for you. But more importantly, this message, this content, this blasting of my horn is to give all honor, all praise, all glory, all esteem, all bending of my knee, laying down prostrate, nose down on the ground and my toes, giving all reverence and respect and fear of the Most High, Abba Yahuwah. That's his name. Don't get it twisted. He's the Most High, our wonderful Creator. That's the number one objective that I so desire to achieve right now. But at the same time, we're going to talk about someone like myself. I used to bump up to it, to paganry, and thought it was okay. But if you are like someone like me now, who wants to give all reverence to where it's due, to the only place it's due, and that's to Abba Yahuwah, if you still want to dance around with paganry, that means what that looks like is you just ain't fully committed to bowing your knee all the way. You're down there, but just not all the way. You'll give everything to him to a certain extent. You're just not going to go, you won't lay face down in the mud because you feel like nothing is worth that. You know what that's called? That's called pride. And if you can't swallow it, bye-bye. Sure, yeah, it doesn't seem that bad. It seems innocent, I know. I looked at it the same way. Doesn't matter how I look at it. Doesn't matter how you look at it. What matters is how it is. And how it is that you are just, you're not willing to go that far. When the Most High will go, there is no boundary. There is nowhere he won't go for you. He has no limits on his love, his great mercy. And good thing, because you'd have already went bye-bye. But because of his great compassion, grace, and mercy, you're still here. Your ears are turned on. Get your knees all the way down and your nose and give reverence to the Most High. We're going to read 78 and 79. I'm not sure how the screen appears to you. It's insane on my end. Hopefully it doesn't look that way for you. Real quick too, I want to talk just a little bit more about about the status of Allesteem. This will be on Escape. Don't be surprised, like I said, if they don't just cancel my channel altogether. But like I said, I'll be posting on Telegram. I'll post where I can. Bear with me. For those of you who've been around for a while with me for a little bit, you know that I'm just like you. I'm a human. I might do something that's unheard of one day, but then I might be shown or told something by the Most High. I might be given an understanding of his word that is groundbreaking because it's happened before, and no credit of my own. And why he shared those groundbreaking revelations with me, I used to say I don't know, but it's because I threw the Christmas tree out. I refused to dance with paganry. I finally mustered up enough courage and determination to quit cold turkey. Does that mean I'm perfect and I don't sin? If you're here and you've been here for a minute, you know better than that. If you are of anyone with common sense, you know that none of us are going to reach that status. But if you're like me, you understand that we're cleaning up our profile. One baby step at a time. Throwing that tree out was a leap. My sister called me up a couple weeks before Easter one time, and she said, David, I need to talk to you. And I said, well, what is it, sister? She said, well, I'd rather talk to you face to face. Could you come over? And I happened to be right there by her. And I was like, sure, yeah, I'll be right over. I thought something bad, I didn't know if maybe she was going to tell me something about the health of my father, or I didn't know. Well, I got there and she said, now I'm going to ask you something, and I don't want you to get mad. Can you promise me you won't get mad? And I said, well, how could I promise that? I don't even know what you're going to say. I mean, I'll try, but I don't know. And she said, well, David, why can't you just let Blake and Emma have a Christmas tree at your house? Or, no, it was. Let me back up. Let me correct myself. It was Christmas, not Easter. She said, why won't you let Blake and Emma why don't you put a Christmas tree up at your place for Blake and Emma? And I started laughing. I said, that's what this is about? I said, you had me come over here so you could ask me that? I said, first of all, what does it matter to you if I have a Christmas tree up or not? She said, well, it's just not, they're children, they're kids, man. You gotta let them have a Christmas tree, What's the big deal? I said, do you really want me to tell you? She didn't. That right there kind of paused her for a minute, and she might have said, no, I don't want to know, but by gosh, that was one of those times where I just couldn't help myself. I said, because it's an abomination, that's why. And if you knew what was best for you, you would be just like me, and you would refuse to have one in your house this year. And like I said, I correct myself. She had one that was just dolled up. She likes to go all out, It was white and matched her living room and everything. I said, if you knew what I know, you wouldn't have that sitting here right now. And she just couldn't understand it. But I think she understood a little bit right then and there when she realized that she was making a big issue saying that I was. And I wasn't. I was minding my own business, doing whatever I was doing. She called me. Had me come over, and she had to tell me face to face. So it was a pretty big deal. I thought something serious was going to happen. That she had something like she needed to tell me something that I was going to be tore up about or something, So she knew right then. And these people know. By the time it's all said and done, there'll be no excuse. They will know damn well what it is that they're doing. They'll know that it's straight up adultery, straight up cheating. It's no different than calling your husband's enemy, the person that that wants to kill him, the person that's made it his life's mission to kill your husband. It's no different than lying to your husband and convincing him to go somewhere, making him think he's going to get something really nice, just so he can be gone for just long enough for you to call that guy that wants to kill your husband, have him come over, sleep with him in the bed your husband bought for you. Don't clean the sheets, don't wash them, just leave it. Pull the blanket back up and let him lay right down in that spot tonight. And look him straight in the face with the best poker face that's ever existed. And him totally clueless about it. And him lay there in that same spot that night and tell you something so sweet, something sincere, straight from the heart, how he loves you, and you just sit there and not with a stone face. It's worse than that. And if you're someone who finds that to be the most repulsive, disgusting act there is. If you say that you love the Most High, if you say you have all reverence for Him, you don't give no reverence. And you let it be known why you don't give reverence to those things. Because that's what it is. He pulled with a outstretched arm his children up out of the land of Mitzrayim, where they were under the whip, being horribly persecuted, slave driven. He pulled them out of there because he heard their cries. And soon as he got them out in the wilderness, they started to sleep with that very slave master. And they thought it was behind his back, behind the Most High's back. The audacity of those people. That same one that they did that to the Most High with, that's who those Christmas trees represent, those Easter bunnies. You should have no desire whatsoever to even look at those things. But you understand that you're a child of the Most High. And you can say the names of them when we're talking about how sickening they are. You can say them when you're telling someone how evil it is and how you want nothing to do with it because you're a child of the Most High. Ain't nothing like that going to harm you just because you utter the name while you're describing how disgusted with it you are. But you give it no esteem, no reverence. And on that day of judgment, where there's no extension, where you can no longer have a hall pass to sleep around, you'll look back and you'll wish that you would have, like myself and others like me, you'll wish that you could go back and have a redo and give no reverence to those filthy, abominable things. And that day, I'm letting you know, it's not that far away. And how can I say that? Where do I find the confidence to say that? The word of the Most High. The signs He set for us because He loves us. He's told us in His word what to look for, so we would know when that the time is short. Well, those of us who watch, therefore, we've seen those signs and those warnings, and we know that the time is short. So the fact that you ain't been looking, what that looks like is you're that wife, you're in bed with that arch nemesis of your husband's, and you know your husband's going to be home any minute, but boy, it's just so good. The thrill, the rush you get from sleeping around with that particular person, it's just so good. It's too good for you to stop. You hear him pull up in the driveway and you've already got that, plan B of this guy, you opening the window and just throwing his clothes out onto the lawn and pushing him out into the lawn. You know that's what you're going to do. And your husband's done in the house. He's heading towards the bedroom. You could stop and go ahead and send him on out the window. But boy, it's just so good to you. You just love it that much. And see, it's not how you look at it or how I look at it. But you know how I look at it. It's how it is. It's you're sleeping with that guy who wants to not only destroy your husband, he wants to destroy you too. And he understands that by you sleeping around with him, and you might think it's innocent, but he knows that he's turned you out. Straight up made you a no good skank. And you probably know that too. But boy, it's just so good, ain't it? If you have an on switch for your ears, you better start looking for it. Verse 1. My people, give ear to my Torah. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I open my mouth in a parable. I utter riddles of old. When I told you he showed me Revelations, he showed me what the tree in the garden was and its fruit. And it was a parable. That's what he's talking about right here. He showed me that, and I'm the world's biggest dumbass, if not tied for first, if I'm not in first all alone. So it was I can take no credit in finding that revelation. He showed me that in his word. He made his words known to me. That means he poured out his spirit upon me. And I've proclaimed it right here on Escape Babylon and it's Allesteem and Facebook and Telegram. And I'll continue to do so. That's what he's talking about right here. I open my mouth in a parable. I utter riddles of old, which we have heard and known, for our fathers have related them to us. My dad, the people older than me, my mom, she told me that my Sunday school teachers, they told me about the garden, the story of the garden and Adam and Eve. But me, we did not hide them from their children, relating to the generation to come the praises of Yahuwah and his strength and his words, which he has done. For he raised a witness in Jacob and set a Torah in Yasharal, which he commanded our fathers to teach them to their children, that it might be known to a generation to come, to children who would be born to rise up and relate them to their children, and place their trust in the Most High and not forget the works of El, but watch over his commands, and not be like their fathers, like my father, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation which did not prepare its heart, whose spirit was not steadfast to El. The children of Ephraim, armed bowmen, turned back in the day of battle. When it came to the day of battle, they said, to hell with this. They threw their bows and swords down. They said, I got shit to do at 3 o'clock. I'm going to hang out with Larry and drink some beers. I ain't got time for this shit. They did not guard the covenant of the Most High, and they refused to walk in his Torah. And they forgot his deeds and his wonders, which he had shown them. He did wonders in the sight of their fathers, in the land of Mitzrayim, in the field of Soan. He split the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters stand up like a heap, and led them with the cloud by day, and all the night with the light of fire. He split the rocks in the wilderness, and made them drink as from the great depths, or streams from the rock, and caused waters to come down as rivers. Yet they sinned still more against him to rebel against the Most High in the desert. And they tried El in their heart by asking food according to their desire. And they spoke against the Most High. They said, is El able to set a table in the wilderness? Is he going to care about this Christmas tree? He don't care about it's not what's in my heart. He don't care if I don't boil this meat. He don't care if I eat these nasty hot dogs. We're at the ball game. I mean, that's what people do. He ain't gonna. If you think he's gonna care about me eating his pork chop, well, you don't understand the sacrifice that Jesus made. Look, he struck the rock so that waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Is he able to give bread also? Would he provide meat for his people? What else can he do? Therefore Yahuwah heard, and he was wroth. He was pissed. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and displeasure also came up against Yasharal, because they did not believe in the Most High. Neither did they trust in his deliverance. Yet he had commanded the clouds above and opened the doors of the heavens, and he rained down manna on them to eat, and he gave them the grain of the heavens. Men ate bread of the mighty. He sent them provisions to satisfaction. He didn't just give them enough to survive or get by on. They were filled to the brim. They were stuffed. He made an east wind blow in the heavens, and by his power he brought in the south wind. He was making it so cushy for him. In my native tongue, we would say kushter, and refs would say kushti. He made it nice and kushter for him. And he rained meat on them like the dust, and winged birds like the sand of the seas, and let them fall in the midst of his camp, all around his dwelling place. So they ate and were completely satisfied. Shouldn't have had no reason to complain, for he brought them what they desired. They had not turned away from their desire. Their food was still in their mouths. The KJV says the meat was still in their mouths. When the wrath of the Most High came against them, and he killed among their fat ones, and he struck down the choice ones of Yasharal, in spite of all this, they still sinned. Does that mean despite of all that, they still had a couple brewskis? They still said shit when they were talking. They refused to stop saying the word shit. Daudy said that those who want to kill him because he gives esteem to the Most High could kiss his ass. He still says that. He sinned. No. The definition of sin doesn't include those accusations. Putting a Christmas tree up in your living room fits that bill. Dancing around with idolatry is more like it. So he ended their days in a breath and their years in trouble. When he killed them, then they sought him. Like I said, when that day of judgment comes where there will be no more extensions, you'll seek. But that's all. And they returned and did earnestly seek El. Early did they seek him. And they remembered that the Most High was their rock, and the Most High El their Redeemer. But they flattered him with their mouth, and they lied to him with their tongue. Heart was not steadfast with him, and they were not true to his covenant. But he, the compassionate one, pardoned crookedness, and did not destroy them. And many a time he turned his displeasure away, and and did not stir up all his wrath, just a little bit. For he remembered that they were but flesh, a passing breath that does not return. How often they rebelled against him in the wilderness and grieved him in the desert. And again they tried the Most High and provoked the set-apart one of Yasharal. They did not remember his hand, the day when he redeemed them from the adversary. How he worked his signs in Mitzrayim and his wonders in the field of Soan. He turned their rivers into blood, just like he's doing right now. And they could not drink their streams. He sent among them swarms of flies which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them, and gave their crops to the caterpillar. And remember, just like in the beginning of this chapter, he said he speaks riddles and parables. If it doesn't make sense, you better look again, and you better do your homework. Because just like with the garden, when he said, don't eat the fruit, he wasn't speaking literal. He was speaking in a riddle. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost, and gave their beast over to the hail, and their livestock to bolts of fire. He sent on them the burning of his displeasure, wrath and rage and distress, a deputation of messengers of evils. He sent evil beings to torture them. He made a path for his displeasure. He did not spare their being from death, but gave their life over to the plague. And he struck all the firstborn in Mitzrayim, the first fruits of strength in the tents of Ham. Then made his own people go forth like sheep, and led them in the wilderness like a flock. And he led them on safely, and they did not fear, but the sea covered their enemies. And he brought them to the border of his set-apart place, this mountain which his right hand had gained, and drove out nations before them, and allotted them a measured inheritance, and made the tribes of Yasharal dwell in their tents. Yet they tried and rebelled against the Most High, the Most High, and did not guard his witnesses. But they turned back and acted treacherously like their fathers. They twisted like a treacherous bow, for they enraged him with their high places, and moved him to jealousy with their carved images. Do you think the high places, when he speaks about the high places, he's talking about a Satan worshiping temple or something, a synagogue where there's a baffity-boo inside? You think that's what he's talking about? No. You can, when you picture in your mind's eye what that looked like, you could put in there, you could insert a picture of a Sunday church with its steeple. Open up the door and see all the people. Yep. It's high places. Those pastors who get in there and stand usually directly under that steeple at their podium. I'd like to look up the definition and the etymology of the word podium. I'm sure it's not very nice. But right there, when they're at their podium, they're up high on that stage, and their word goes. it's their way or the highway, you could insert that right there. And you can attribute that to what happened in the garden. That man or woman who stands at that podium and preaches a sermon, one that's taken where they take scripture out of context and they tell you what they think the scripture's saying and never speak truth. Not only that, they avoid truth like it's the plague, like they're a vampire in its holy water or garlic, because it'll melt them. They don't want nothing to do with that sort of truth. They want to make their own truth and define by themselves what the scripture says. You can say that the high places of today are these multi-denominational, deceitful. I don't care if you tell me that they are someone who just maybe they don't know or understand what the truth is. No. I'm not special. If you've been shown the truth about the word, like I was just saying, that what happened in the garden and what that was, you're not special. What you are is someone who sought truth. You've asked for it. So if they don't know it, and they're preachers, they don't want the truth, or they know the truth and they're deliberately misleading the people who come there looking for truth, or pretending to look for it, however you want to slice and dice it. For they enraged him with their high places and moved him to jealousy with their carved images. When the Most High heard this, he was pissed, greatly pissed, and greatly despised Yasharal. And he left the dwelling place of Shiloh, the tent which he had set up among men. And he gave his strength into captivity, and his comeliness into the hand of the adversary. And he gave his people over to the sword, and he was wroth. He was irate with his inheritance. His young men were consumed by fire, and his maidens were not praised. His priests fell by the sword, and their widows could not weep. Then Yahuwah awoke as one asleep, as a mighty man who shouts because of wine. And he struck his adversaries backward. He put them to an everlasting reproach. Then he rejected the tent of Yosef, and did not choose the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Yehudah, Mount Sion, which he loved. And he built his set-apart place like the heights. Like the earth, he founded it forever. And he chose David, his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds. He brought him in from tending the ewes to shepherd Jacob, his people, and Yasharal, his inheritance. And he shepherded them according to the integrity of his heart, and led them by the skill of his hands. O my Most High, the nations have come into your inheritance. They have defiled your set apart Hakal. They turn Jerusalem into ruins. That word Hakal means slaughter place. It often mentions how they come into the Hakal to slaughter. That's a parable as well. He's not talking about sacrificing animals. a place of sacrifice. He's talking about you sacrificing those things of the world, idolatry that you love so much for His sake. He's talking about you stepping out boldly and giving esteem to the Most High, even if it embarrasses you and it makes you feel less of a human being, because the world is going to laugh at you, mock and scoff you. They turn Jerusalem into ruins. They have given the dead bodies of your servants as food for the birds of the heavens, the flesh of your loving committed ones to the wild beasts of the earth. They have poured out their blood like water all around Jerusalem, with no one to bury them. We have become a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a mockery to those who are around us. Yes, I have. How long, O Yahuwah, would you be enraged forever? Would your jealousy burn like fire? Pour out your wrath on the nations who have not known you, and on reigns they have not called on your name. For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his pasture. Those churches that I was just mentioning, that right there is mentioning them as well. Do not remember against us the crookedness of the fathers. Let your compassion speedily meet us, for we have been greatly weakened. Help us, my Most High, of our deliverance, for the sake of the esteem of your name, and deliver us and cover over our sins for your name's sake. Why should the nation say, where is their Most High? Let the vengeance of the outpoured blood of your servants be known among the nations before our eyes. Let the groaning of the prisoner come before you. According to the greatness of your arm, preserve those who appointed to death, and repay to our neighbors, sevenfold their reproach into their bosom, with which they have reproached you, O Yahuwah. And we, your people, and the sheep of your pasture, we give thanks to you forever. From generation to generation, we show forth your praise. With this horn, with this platform, with this microphone, I will give all honor, all praise, all glory, and all esteem to you, my mighty Most High, Abba Yahuwah. That's your name. I will not get it twisted. I understand that you are our wonderful Creator, and no one gets any esteem besides you. Yasharal, take heed and listen to the words of the Most High, and understand that if you dance around any little bit with idolatry, you are enraging the Most High, and He is wroth with you. Don't believe it? Prove me wrong. You won't, because you can't. But if you're with me, let me hear your voice while you give all esteem to the Most High. I love you. Till next time, peace out, D's out. Shalom.